This is my eggplant, and eggplant, I generally steam it, just lightly steam it prior to dehydrating it. And that would just be for just a few minutes, just to tenderize the outside of the skin, but not for a long time or it'll get really mushy. Now over here, this here is the summer squash I dehydrated. And this is the one I told you that you need to just steam it just for a short period of time, just so the skin's not soft. And you can see, if you steam them too long and you dehydrate it, some people say that on the zucchini and the summer squash, that it gets too mushy. Same thing with the eggplant, it'll get too mushy. The dehydrated foods will keep for a really long time. The shelf life is almost sometimes indefinite. There's people that say it lasts up to 30 years on the shelf, and they're very serious about that. So I don't have any problems with it not lasting or mildewing. And the reason I don't is because it's really important that your food is 95% dehydrated. And you want to remove as much moisture as possible. Now remember, 95% or more. And how can you tell if it's 95% dehydrated? Very easy. If you just come over here and look a little closer, and you listen, you're going to see how it does this. It doesn't stick together. You don't want it sticking together. It's nice and dehydrated. Same thing. Everything here. You can almost hear it clicking. Here are your mushrooms that are dehydrated. I buy the sliced ones when they're on sale, and I throw them all on the tray and I dehydrate them. When I'm cooking, it makes life easy. I just grab a handful. Don't have to worry about going to the store. But if you hear everything here, you're going to want this sound. Even my orange, you're going to get that plasticky sound. You have your bananas here. Here you have the apples that I just sliced, and I'm going to show you how I did that too. Okay. First of all, I'm going to get this out of the way. One of the things I want to tell you is that try not to use salt while dehydrating your food. The reason why, when you rehydrate your food after using salt, it takes a little longer. So if you have leftovers, like broccoli that has been salted, and you want to take the leftovers from dinner and dehydrate them, you can do that. But it's always best to salt your food when it's on the plate and not when it's in the dish. Okay, so what I have here, move these out of the way. This is an apple peeler. Now I go to the farmer's market and I'll get a bushel basket of apples that have been dimpled for $5. And then I'll come home and I'll simply, it doesn't take me long at all, okay, and there you have your peeled apple. And it looks like an accordion like this. And then what you do is you take your apple and you just simply slice it like this. And then you have perfect sliced apples for apple pie. But you have to process this by spraying it. You have to spray it like this. I use pure lemon juice and nothing more. You'll have a lot of other people telling you different things to use. And I've done a lot of dehydrating, and trust me, this works just fine. Now, if you're going to have your apples where you might say that you want it chopped up smaller for apple fritters, apple muffins, apple pancakes. What I do is I just come over here and put them on my chopper, like this, and chop them like this. Works great. And then what I do is I take my lemon juice, I'm going to spray it in the bowl, and I'm going to go like this. Okay. Now, I'm going to also do the banana. When you do the banana, if the banana is very green and you process it with lemon juice or ascorbic acid, especially ascorbic acid, and it's too green, what will happen is that banana will turn a little pinky, but it's still good to eat and there's nothing wrong with it. So you can just go ahead and do that. Bananas, the same thing. People use honey and different ways of processing it. I use straight lemon. Things you don't want to spray with your lemon juice. You never want to spray your broccoli with the lemon juice. It'll burn it. It'll turn brown. And you don't want to spray your spinach or any leafy green thing with your lemon juice. I just basically do carrots, apples, bananas, and things like that with the lemon juice. Okay, so what I have over here now, I'm going to take these off. It's really important that you have everything washed down. I generally use Clorox kitchen spray. And hygiene is really, really important when it comes to dehydrating food. It's also important when canning food. And the better hygiene you use, the better the storage will be on your food and the less spoilage you'll have. So it's always important that you use really good hygiene. So I always wash my countertops off with antibacterial wipe or the Clorox kitchen spray. And I always use latex gloves. You get a whole box of them, $4. I use vinyl gloves. I'm allergic to latex, but you can use latex if you're not allergic to them. But I use vinyl gloves. The other thing is when you're handling your food, you don't want the oil and the moisture from your hands to go back into your dehydrated food, because then it's going to contaminate the rest of the dehydrated food, especially if you put it back in the jar. Okay? Now, corn. If you get corn off the cob, then you're going to want to steam it first and process it to lock in the enzymes. And the enzymes in the food is what decomposes the food, so you want to lock that in there. So what I have over here, this is my tray. Okay. What I do is I just take a bag of frozen corn I got on sale. I think I paid 68 cents a bag for these. And this is 1 pound right here. Now that 1 pound of corn, you just throw it on the tray like this, frozen. You don't have to worry about thawing it out or anything. Just throw it right on there, frozen. Smooth it out like this. Don't worry about it if it's on top of each other. Some people say it's got to be perfectly. That's nonsense. Okay? And then you put it inside your dehydrator. Now, what you have here is the dehydrated corn. Okay? And I'm going to change my glove here. And this dehydrated corn was all toppled on top of each other, just like this up here. And it turned out perfectly fine. Okay? So that looks good. And that's all your corn. So when you're cooking, you would grab some corn, throw it in your soup or your stew, whatever you're making. You have to be careful, though, when you're doing dehydrated food. Sometimes, as I said before, this is a pound. This is a pound of dehydrated corn. And this is a pound of dehydrated corn. And so the difference is that you don't need as much because it's going to expand. And sometimes when you're cooking with it, when you first start out, you don't realize it. You might put a lot in, like a cup of corn. Dehydrated corn is almost 2 pounds of corn. It's really important that you try to keep the same food that you're going to dehydrate that takes the same amount of time together. You don't want to take your leafy spinach and put it in with your in the dehydrator with your lemons and oranges, because this is going to be done way before that's going to be done. And that moisture for this is still going to be circulating in there, so it's going to make it difficult for this to really dehydrate properly. So what you need to do is try to keep all the longer ones that take a longer time, your lemons and your oranges and your tomatoes and things like that, in the same load that you do. Another thing you want to do is you want to take your garlic and your onions, and you want to do garlic and onions all by themselves. You don't want to be dehydrating onions and garlic in the same load in your dehydrator as with your other vegetables, because obviously they will absorb the flavor.